The November 15, 2011 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Adair.
Here.
Ms. Andrews. Mr. Antelli. Mr. Barker. Mr. Broth. Mr. Beebe. Mr. Cassetti. Mr. Colby. Mr. Daniele. Mrs. Draw. Mr. Eckel. Mr. Esposito. Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina. Mr. Haney. Mr. Hanna. Mr. Hyder. Mr. Howland. Ms. Kaylee. Mr. Lee. Mr. Lightfoot. Mr. Monero. Mr. McCann. Mr. O'Brien. Dr. Quattro. Mr. Racco. Mr. Tucciarello. Mrs. Valerio. Mr. Yolovich. Mr. Antelli.
At this time, I'd like everyone to please stay seated. I would like to call for a moment of silent prayer. Legislator Rick Antelli will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Antelli. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Without objection, I'd like to take agenda item number 26 out of regular order. Agenda item number 26 is moved by Dr. Quattro and seconded by Mr. O'Brien. Will the clerk please read the resolution memorial for the Honorable Charles Westfall, former Board of Supervisors and one of the first members of the 1967 Monroe County Legislature. There is a hearing loop in place tonight to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requesting assistance should inquire in the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic device in your possession, we would request that you silence them for the duration of the meeting, and thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are in your folders. At this time, it is a great honor of mine to present to you Mr. Mark Quinn of the Monroe County Parks Department, who will tell us about our plan of the month. Mark?
Thank you. Good evening. Our plant of the month is blue spruce. You can see them across the front of the stage tonight. They come in dozens of different varieties. This time of year, when we start losing the leaves, we start looking for some other things to add color. Evergreens are one of those things we look at. These are 3 different varieties we have here. The center one is a very low variety. It won't grow more than about 6 feet tall. The 2 on the outside of that look like Christmas trees, those will get somewhat over 100 feet tall. It's a particularly long-lived species that can live up to 600 years and could be up to maybe 120 feet. The ones on the end are kind of a contorted one that'll just assume a weeping form and may get 20 to 30 feet tall. They're very tolerant of different soil conditions. They're native to the United States, the western United States. They do well as screens, and they do well along expressways and areas that have difficult conditions. They do best, like most plants, in a well-drained soil, but they will tolerate many different conditions and are particularly good for screens and in the landscape. They can be seen in Monroe County in the Parks Department at both Durand Eastman Park and Highland Park, both of which have several specimens that are well over 100 years old. Very interesting plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. This evening there are several proclamations scheduled. Madam Clerk?
Would Bill Bellman please come forward? Also President Jeffrey R. Adair, legislators Rick Antelli, Jeffrey L. McCann, and Mark J. Cassetti. Whereas very few have dedicated their lives to caring for animals in the way that Bill Bellman has. As a New York State licensed wildlife rehabilitator, Bill's duties are to provide aid to injured, orphaned, displaced, or distressed wild animals in such a way that they may survive when released to their native habitats. And whereas Bill has sought to better his skills in caring for wildlife by attending the annual New York State Wildlife Rehabilitation Council seminar. The seminar offers in-depth programs taught by wildlife rehabilitation experts in the subject areas of nutrition, diseases, medications, and rehabilitation techniques. Bill has also furthered his education on wildlife by taking an ornithology class offered by Cornell University. And whereas Bill believes in giving our wildlife that have been injured, orphaned, or displaced a second chance at life. This belief became the focus of Bill's life when he was able to beat gastroesophageal cancer. Bill truly believes that he was the recipient of a second chance at life, and he has worked diligently to pass that privilege along to our wildlife. Bill has opened his home to many of the animals that he cares for. He is currently caring for 2 squirrels so they can survive through the winter and be released back into their natural habitat. Bill is also caring for a blind screech owl and is one of the few people in the county that works with owls. He also works with the Greece residents assisting stray pets to find good homes for stray animals. Bill currently has 3 dogs and 6 cats that he calls his own. And whereas Bill obtained much of his knowledge on wildlife rehabilitation from his mentor, Gary Zimmerman. Gary has been a wildlife rehabilitator for 19 years, and he has worked very closely with Bill to create a better life for our injured, orphaned, displaced, and distressed wildlife. Bill also takes pride in teaching others about wildlife rehabilitation. He has mentored numerous high school students who need to perform community service, and he plans to have a student from SUNY Delhi shadow him next summer. Now therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Rick Antelli, Legislator District 7, Jeffrey L. McCann, Legislator District 19, and Mark J. Cassetti, Legislator District 5, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Bill Bellman for his compassion and dedication as a wildlife rehabilitator. Congratulations.
I did want to be first. I don't know what to say, but thank you. Thank you very much. I just believe that in giving the animals a second chance, if you can, I have pictures back here. That's about it. I can't bring in an animal. I don't want to stress them. And as I said, what I have right now, I don't know from day to day what I'm going to get in. I also have a red-tailed hawk right now. I have no idea what else to say, so thank you.
Thank you.
Would representatives from the Penfield Fitness and Racket Club please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Debbie Draw and E. Daniel Quattro. Whereas in 1978, the Penfield Fitness and Racket Club was established by Alan Hanford. Since then, it has expanded and become a one-stop shop for fitness in the town of Penfield. The club offers racquetball courts, a Nautilus area, a whirlpool and an aerobic studio, a basketball gymnasium, a swimming pool, and a 2,200 square feet of free weights and cardio equipment. Throughout the years, the club has undergone many upgrades and offers a fitness option for each of its 3,000 members. And whereas Alan Hanford, the founder of Penfield Fitness and Racket Club, has been an active member of the Penfield community. He is a founding board member of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and Our Community Bikes, an organization that collects and repairs used bicycles and gives them to needy children in our community. He has also participated in several fundraising efforts for SIS, Golisano Children's Hospital, and cystic fibrosis. And whereas this year, the Penfield Fitness and Racket Club has been awarded the Penfield Business Association's Business of the Year Award. Each year, the PBA honors a local business who has significantly contributed to the vitality and success of the Penfield business community. The Penfield Fitness and Racket Club has demonstrated significant economic development and community involvement. Alan and his business are a great example for entrepreneurs and small businesses throughout Monroe County. Now, therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, E. Daniel Quattro, Majority Leader, and Debbie Draw, Legislator District 9, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Penfield Fitness and Racket Club on being awarded the 2011 Penfield Business Association's Business of the Year Award. Congratulations.
Well, since you are all seasoned speakers, I'll make this very brief. I just want to thank you very much for the award. It means a lot to us. We've been doing our thing for 33 years, and I welcome any of you people out to the club. Most of you probably don't need it, but fine examples here. Dan and Debbie have been great members for many years, and we hope to be around for many more. Thank you very much.
Would Lieutenant Tim Russell and Bill Connors please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and Legislator Mike Rocco. Whereas Tim Russell and Bill Connors are true hometown heroes. On March 14th, 2011, Lieutenant Tim Russell of the Brockport Fire Department responded to a fire on Spring Street. After being alerted by the boy's 12-year-old sister, Tim, along with 2 police officers, coaxed a 9-year-old boy into jumping from the second-floor window of his burning house to safety. Without these actions, the 9-year-old boy may not have made it out safely. And whereas earlier this year, Bill Connors was at home when a call came in for a fire 2 blocks from his house on Cherry Street. Despite being an inactive life member of the Brockport Fire Department, Bill ran to the house where he located a garden hose. He was able to prevent the fire from spreading until the fire truck arrived. Bill's quick action kept the damage to the home minimal. And whereas in September, Tim and Bill's heroic efforts were recognized as they received the Liberty Mutual Fire Mark Award. The award is presented each year to firefighters across the nation who have served their communities through courageous acts. Tim and Bill will now be considered for Liberty Mutual's National Award, which would give them $10,000 for their fire department and a trip to Disney World for their families. And whereas Tim and Bill are role models for our entire community, their courageous efforts are impressive and help to keep the village of Brockport safe. Now therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Dare, President, Mike Rocco, Legislator District 2, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Lieutenant Tim Russell and Bill Connors on being awarded the Liberty Mutual Fire Mark Award. Congratulations.
I guess on behalf of the Brockport Fire Department, I'm John Rombout, the president of our association. I want to thank everybody for allowing 2 of our great members to be honored for things that many people do consistently, but unfortunately we just do not put their name in, and we need to do better. But I thank you very much, and thank these 2 guys for doing their job and keeping everybody as safe as we possibly can. Thank you very much.
Would Carolyn Portanova please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Ted O'Brien and Paul E. Haney. Whereas Carolyn Portanova, the president and CEO of Catholic Family Center since 1989, is retiring after 37 years of incredible service at our community's largest family service agency. Under Carolyn's leadership, Catholic Family Center has grown into a $27 million comprehensive human services agency in the Diocese of Rochester. And whereas Carolyn Portanova graduated from Pennsylvania State University in 1967 and received her master's from the University of Rochester in 1973. 1 year later, she was supervising the outpatient drug counseling program at the Catholic Family Center. In 1983, Carolyn became the director of the Restart Substance Abuse Department, where she developed a nationally recognized substance abuse treatment model for women and their children. Shortly after, several area agencies were merged to create Catholic Family Center in 1988. Carolyn was named the president and CEO. And whereas Carolyn has been instrumental in growing Catholic Family Center and the wide-ranging services it offers through innovative models of collaboration and creative partnerships and through acquisition of smaller agencies. These efforts have helped to ensure the continuation of vital services to vulnerable populations. The programs, treatment, advocacy, and counseling services that Catholic Family Center offers are available to anyone in need, regardless of their religious, social, or economic background. And whereas Carolyn has also extended her leadership to numerous boards and committees throughout the community, her dedication to the people of Monroe County has been recognized across the country and state with many awards and commendations. Through Carolyn's guidance, Catholic Family Center has been able to evolve to meet the needs of our entire community and serve more than 64,000 people each year. We celebrate her service and wish her all the best in the next chapter of her life. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Ted O'Brien, Democratic Minority Leader, and Paul Haney, Legislator District 23, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby honor Carolyn Portanova for 4 decades of incredible service to the community. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for this wonderful honor. I am truly overwhelmed to be here tonight and receive this. I feel very fortunate to have had 37 years to walk with the poor and vulnerable in this community on their journey to independence with dignity. I thank this body for each year responding to our request for funds to serve these people in our community. So I'm very, very grateful for what you do. I am also grateful for the partnership that I have felt. I've stood here many times over 37 years talking about one issue or another, and I have felt partnership here. We need that more than ever for both sides to come together to address the needs of this community. We're all in this together. I know that. I know that after 37 years here. We are not Republicans and Democrats. We are all in this together. Poverty is an issue that we must address as one full group. So thank you so much for the recognition and the honor, and best wishes in the years to come. I'll be back.
We will now recess for the purpose of holding one public hearing. I declare open the public hearing on resolution intro number 332 of 2011, entitled Adoption of the Monroe County Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed and reconvene the November 15, 2011 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold the public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Mrs. Rozzi?
A deputy will assist you in approaching the lectern, and please use the center aisle when your name is called, and be prepared to address the legislature. You will have 2 minutes, and we ask that you conclude when the timer sounds. And again, thank you for your cooperation. Our first speaker will be Chris Safuto.
Just said I should have brought an ornament. Good evening, everybody. I back again as usual. You all know who I am. Today I had the privilege of hearing Gloria Steinem speak. You know, she's been an icon in the women's movement for many years. I'd like to look as good as she does at age 70. But all kidding aside, one thing that I learned today was that the only way things get changed is to persevere and carry on. I have been coming here for many months with the same message to you, the powers that be, explaining to you how important the employees of Monroe County are and how we make you look good. And yet, the quote, "We are asking for raises well beyond what anyone would expect to receive in this community, and that we have a lucrative benefit structure," was recently stated. So my question to you this evening is, how come the highest paid county employees are still receiving raises that are well beyond what would be accepted in this community? You know, they say that if you hear something 7 times over, you remember it. I'm counting on the fact that one of you is going to have an aha moment some night at your kitchen table and will step up and say, You know, this contract should be settled in a fair and equitable way, and I'm going to break the paradigm and step forward to make it happen. But alas, until that happens, I'll be here every month reminding you that Monroe County works because we do. And on behalf of CSEA, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and may all your blessings come true.
Our next speaker is Tom Gregory.
I'm going to address generally the question that was just raised, because the powers that be in this county, as far as I know, are the electorate. The sovereign authority of this county is in the hands of the electorate, the voters. And the voters made a huge statement in this last election. I don't think it was one saying no to contracts. I don't think it was saying no to the poor. I don't think it was a statement like that. But I think the voters were responding to something that was made definitively clear, that the tax rate is going to be kept low in this county. In fact, it's not going to change. Now, I don't think it was selfishness that brought people to vote based upon that choice, but I think it's actually the fact that there's another side to social justice. And that other side of social justice are those individuals who have to pay or who voluntarily pay. No, there are no tax revolts in this county, but there does come a point where people literally have to look at things and say, hey, our taxpayers, our electorate are saying, we're hurting, and we're hurting by an overwhelming majority of vote. And when I hear people speak, I think a little bit differently. I think that Monroe County works because our taxpayers pay their taxes because they work. And I think what happens, I'm a union person, and my union, we gave up a particular opportunity a long time ago. Basically, we wanted to have what they called pre-engineered buildings. I worked, like a lot of my fellow union workers, construction workers worked, at 75% of what our union scale was, so we could have something. Unions aren't just out for more money or that. Sometimes we make concessions, and we do it in an organized way. I'm certain that this administration, like any future administration, when the money is there, would be willing to be the most generous with their contract. But presently, our voters have just said, we're hurting. Thank you very much. Monroe County works because our taxpayers work, and we need to help them. Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
At this time, we'll recess the November 15, 2011 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature and convene the Pure Waters Administration Board for the Gates, Chili, Ogden Sewer District, the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, the Irondequoit South Central Pure Waters District, and the Rochester Pure Waters District. We have before us tonight a matter of urgency regarding referral number 11-0290 for the purpose of scheduling public hearings on December 13th, 2011 before the Pure Waters Administration Board and establishing a scale of charges for each district. If there is no objections, I will move this with one introductory, tabling all districts with one vote and fixing the public hearings for each district with one vote. The clerk will see to it that individual motions and resolution numbers are assigned to each district. The clerk will please note the attendance and read the first Pure Waters item on the agenda.
PWABS 14710, referral 11-290.
Moved by Legislator Cassetti, second by Legislator Daniele. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
PWABS 25811, referral 11-290.
Moved by Legislator Cassetti, second by Legislator Daniele. This is a motion to table. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
PWABS 3, 6, 9, and 12, referral 11-290.
Moved by Legislator Cassetti, second by Legislator Daniele. This is to schedule a public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. We will now recess all the districts and adjourn the Pure Waters Administration Board. The November 15th, 2011 meeting of the Legislature is now reconvened. We will now continue with the considerations of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 11-229, providing.
Moved by Legislators Hannah, second by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion at this time? I'm sorry, this is to be lifted from the table. I'm sorry. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 11-229, providing.
Moved by Legislators Hannah, second by Legislators Draw. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. And through you to the administration, not serving on public safety, I wasn't in attendance at the meeting, and I wonder if we could get just a brief description of this emergency plan and some examples of the kind of emergencies that the plan anticipates. Through you, Mr. President.
Through the chair, the county's pre-disaster mitigation plan is a requirement per the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 that requires local governments to have an all-hazard mitigation plan in order to be eligible for federal hazard mitigation funding. This particular plan addresses 29 hazards most often seen in Monroe County, and those range from both natural disasters to man-made events.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I think Ms. Muffy-Meisenthal is retired. So through you, Mr. President, Mr. Ryan, are you now the emergency planning guy that we go to?
Through the chair, my title is the Associate Emergency Manager, so I am overseeing the daily operations of the office at this point, reporting to the Director of Public Safety.
Congratulations. And through you, one other question. Is this a county plan, or does this plan involve coordination of villages and towns and the other municipalities within the county as well?
Through the chair, this plan was developed through a committee that included representation from the 19 towns, 10 villages, and the city of Rochester, as well as other non-governmental agencies.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Legislator Cassetti.
Mr. President, don't we still have to vote on lifting the motion of the resolution from the table before we go on to the next?
Thank you for asking that question, and I believe that
The tabling, yes.
Yes.
We did.
We did.
We did vote on it?
I don't think we did. I asked that question. So if you don't mind, I've already asked that question. You don't mind, we will go back and we will vote on that, all right? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Thank you. I asked and then you started going on. I couldn't interrupt you. No problem, no problem. Next item. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, now you've really got me. All righty, is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 3, referral 11-232, authorizing contract.
Moved by Legislator Hannah, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 4, referral 11-0233, authorizing intermunicipal.
Moved by Legislator Antelli, second by Legislator Hannah and Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 5, referral 11-234, authorizing contract.
Moved by Legislator Hannah, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Baroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to disclose I actually am employed by the Rochester Institute of Technology.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 6, referral 11-0235, accepting grant.
Moved by legislator Hannah, second by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Ballroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, Mr. President, to the administration, I just have 2 questions regarding this matter. It refers to approximately 13 positions receiving fringe benefits and payroll compensations or reimbursements as a result of this grant. My question is simply, are these 13 positions all currently filled at this time?
Through the chair, Janet Anderson, Sequest Laboratory Director. Yes, all 13 positions are currently filled.
Thank you. And through the, Mr. President, I also like to just follow up and ask, it does describe a decrease of approximately $90,000 over the prior year grants being granted. My question is, was that loss of funding made up either from other sources or from a reduction in the overall budget line?
Through the chair, the difference was made up in a firearms backlog grant that the laboratory was able to achieve or receive.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 8, referral 11-237, accepting grant.
Moved by legislator Hannah, second by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 9, referral 11-238, accepting grant from.
Moved by, which item did you just say that was?
Number 9.
9? Okay. Moved by legislators Antelli, Draw, and seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Baroth.
Through you, actually, I have a question. I'm not sure which item we're on. It makes a difference to me.
Why did we skip 8? That was why I asked why we were on 9. We skipped 8.
237.
Correct. Thank you. One for you. I said it. Nobody listened. You guys said, no, we're all right. Okay, can we hit the restart button on this one? All right, we're going to go to number 8 now.
Okay, item number 8, referral 11-237, accepting grant from New York State.
Moved by legislator Hannah, second by legislator Daniele. Legislator Baroth.
And that's why I was paying attention. I'd like to disclose.
I was paying attention too, but nobody wanted to listen.
I'm not.
It's all right.
Just disclose I am employed by the Rochester Institute of Technology.
Okay. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Okay, item number 9, referral 11-238, accepting grant.
Motion made by legislator Antelli and Draw, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 10, referral 11-239.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any questions at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 11, referral 11-240, accepting grant from New York State.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, legislator Baroth, go ahead. It's your floor.
Apparently. Thank you, Mr. President. I actually have a question regarding this. When I was reading through it, I noticed that we received approximately exactly $150,000 from the grant. Yet I note, and this is a question to the administration through the President, that we are only appropriating $124,000. And my question is, what happened to the other $25,000 from the grant? It must go someplace.
Through the President, the difference between the $124,000 and the $150,000 is already included in the operating budget at this time.
Through the President to the administration. So I understand. So we were assuming we're going to get this grant ahead of time when we put the budget together, correct?
Through the President, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 12, referral 11-241.
Moved by Legislator Draw, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Baroff? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a similar question to I had prior through you to the administration. The note 4 positions are going to be continue to receive a portion of their salary and compensation and benefits from this. I just wanted to ask for the, Mr. President, to the administration, are these 4 positions all currently filled?
Part of it is your salary, so obviously that position is filled. And then Director of Child and Family Services and Nurse Coordinator of the Pediatric Clinic, those are the positions, and those all filled.
Yes. I understand now. Through you, Mr. President, yes, there are some part-time, there are some positions in this grant, and they are all filled.
Then just to clarify through you, Mr. President, to the administration, are some of these positions then part-time? Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. President, the positions are full-time, but it's only part of the positions that are actually funded in the grant.
Thank
So
you.
10% of someone's salary, 5% of someone's salary, and so on.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 13, referral 11-242, accepting grant.
Moved by Legislator Draw, second by Legislator Daniele. I'm sorry. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Baroff.
Thank you again, Mr. President, and my apologies for asking so many questions.
There's no need for apology.
Well, I feel a little bad.
I wouldn't.
Okay. It's a good question. I think we might save ourselves, or at least give ourselves the opportunity to harness $600. So through you, Mr. President, to the administration, I know that the grant is actually for $327,000 and $683, yet we cap the amount that any agency may spend to $327,000 straight. So my question is that intentional? Is the $683 just we don't wish to spend it, or it was just an oversight, or what?
Through you, Mr. President, could you ask the legislator to repeat the question? I'm not sure that I understood.
Got it. My apologies. Through the President to the administration, the grant gifts us with $327,683. It then states that we may not spend more than $250,000 for continuing the implementation of the Healthy Mom, Healthy Baby program, and that we may not exceed $77,000 in support of the Nurse Family Partnership program. If you add those two amounts together, that comes to $327,000, but the grant was for an additional $683. I was just curious as to what happened to the $683.
Through the President, that would be the portion that would be included in item number 5, is to authorize the county executive to reappropriate any unencumbered balances during the grant period to be used for the specific purpose of this program. So the additional $683 would go towards this program, and a future referral would be used to provide a contracting source for that. Both of these two contracts are covered by the $327,000.
Through you, Mr. President, to the administration, I realize it's not that much money, but it does add up ultimately. But does that not mean that because those two programs are capped at this amount, they may not go beyond, that you could not actually use that for even in future years?
Through the President, yes, it does for these two particular contracts, but not for the program. The $327,683 is for the program, and it's a grant for the program, so it needs to be specifically used for that and no other purpose. And that's the reason why it's accounted for in the grants particular side of the budget. These two contracting agencies, we'd need to come back to increase that budget amount for those two contracts. But the $683 would be used for this particular program.
Then to the President, actually, and not to the administration, I would actually propose an amendment to this particular matter and suggest we raise the cap on both of those items by $342. That way it would actually shorten any sort of administrative requirements to actually come back for those funds in the future. I again admit it is for a relatively small amount of money, but it would simplify matters, I think, in general.
Second.
Through the
Second was Paul. Okay, thank you. Legislator Haney. Do you have this in writing anywhere? Are you going to propose this
I do
amendment?
not have it in writing. It was simply a suggestion that we just would increase those two budgetary amounts from $250,000 and just add on $341.50 to that one, and then add on to the $77,000 amount $341.50.
Legislator Broth, you don't have this in writing for us, so we can take a look at it?
I do not have it in writing for you, but I did make the motion.
Through the President, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. What Legislator Baroth is suggesting doing is effectively covered by item 5 in this referral. It allows for that as an administrative action at this point in time. The fact of the matter is the two agencies that we've contracted with in their contracts have only requested $250,000 and $77,000 and did not request the additional $683. If the health director comes forward and says that we need the additional $683 to cover these two grants, we can address that situation administratively by item 5. Otherwise, what we would do was we would carry that $683 over in the same program to be used for a subsequent contract with one of these two vendors that would come before this body, or any other vendor that can provide a service under this particular contract.
Any other discussion on the amendment at this time? No? I'll move to a roll call vote.
Dr. Quattro? Mr. O'Brien? Ms. Andrews? Mr. Antelli? Mr. Barker? Mr. Baroth? Mr. Beebe? Mr. Cassetti? Mr. Colby? Mr. Daniele? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Eckel? Mr. Esposito? Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina? Mr. Haney? Mr. Hanna? Mr. Hyder? Mr. Howland? Ms. Kaylee? Mr. Lee? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. Monero? Mr. McCann? Mr. Racco? Mr. Tucciarello? Mrs. Valerio? Mr. Yolovich? President Adair?
No.
12 to 16, amendment fails.
Back to the main motion. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 14, referral 11-243, amend resolution.
Moved by Legislator Draw, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. I did look, Legislator Broth, your hand wasn't up at the time. I'm already into a vote. Is it a quick question? I'll give you the floor. You have the floor.
For the courtesy, I appreciate that. The question through you to the administration is, it mentioned that part of the subsidy requires the TA recipients to go through 7 hours weekly training. And my question was simply, are participants in that weekly training compensated for those 7 hours weekly as if it was work, or is it considered time on their own? Is it compensated or uncompensated training time?
Through the President, it's compensated time.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion at this time? Back to the vote. Now, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Thank you.
Item number 15, referral 11-244, amend resolution 22.
Moved by Legislator Draw, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 16, referral 11-245.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 17, referral 11-246.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there discussion at this time? Seeing there is none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 18, referral 11-247, authorized to...
Moved by legislator Colby, seconded by legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 19, referral 11-248, authorizing...
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries.
Item number 20, referral 11-291, adoption of Monroe County.
Moved by legislators Daniele and seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 21, referral 11-291, providing that resolution.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is a tabling motion. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 22, referral 11-291, fixing public hearing on...
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Yolovich. This is to schedule a public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries.
Item number 23, referral 11-292, confirming and adopting.
Moved by legislator Cassetti, seconded by legislator Daniele. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 24, referral 11-292.
Moved by legislator Cassetti, seconded by legislator Daniele. This is a tabling motion. All in favor? Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Item number 25, referral 11-292, fixing public hearing.
Moved by legislator Cassetti, seconded by legislator Daniele. This is to schedule the public hearing. All in favor? Are there any opposed? The item carries. Is there any unfinished business to come before this body tonight? Legislator Esposito.
Thank you, Mr. President. This past spring, the county executive directed all county employees to take an ethics training course online. Recognizing that this was a good idea, Legislator O'Brien submitted a referral to this honorable body requiring that we join that effort and take the same ethics training. After that was introduced, it was subsequently changed by you, Mr. President, to be a memorializing resolution, which all 29 members then signed in writing to state that we would like the administration to include us in all ethics training activities that county employees were taking. Immediately after that, I requested a specific medium by which to be invited to take this training. To this date, I still have not received an invitation. A few weeks ago, I learned through the media that several members of this body had taken that training and were duly invited to do so. Coincidentally or not, none of them were members of the Minority Caucus. So through you, Mr. President, I would like an explanation from the administration as to why that's the case and what has happened.
Through you, Mr. President, I have looked into the matter, and it appears to be a miscommunication between staff members as to the desire of members of the Democratic Caucus to take the training or not. A staff member in my office was left with the impression that he would hear back from the department coordinator for the minority office on the ethics training with a final go-ahead. He was under the impression that that the legislators did not want to take the training under the invitation of the county executive, but instead only wanted to take the training if it was mandated by a vote of this legislature. In reading through the correspondence, I can see where the misinterpretation on his part took place, but during the entire time that the program has been up and available, the legislators have been fully capable of taking the training. They are registered, and their email addresses are live in the system, and using the instructions that have been posted continuously on the county intranet about ethics training, those members could have taken the training at any time.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. So did I hear you correctly in that my office and me as an elected official has never been notified about how to take this training?
Through you, Mr. President, no, that's not what I said.
Through you, Mr. President, could you please then clarify what I missed and when I was invited and given directions to take this training?
The program invitations, the program instructions were disseminated to designated departmental liaisons who were responsible for seeing that members of their department who they were responsible for took the training. That process did take place, and those instructions were communicated.
Through you, Mr. President, I'd like to request that correspondence, as I have not seen it. What I have seen is a memorializing resolution with my signature on it, and I'm not sure how that can be made unclear to anyone in the administration as to my intent, whether or not I want to take a training that I've co-sponsored. So through you, Mr. President, I'd like to request the correspondence that the HR Director is referring to. I'd also like to request written explanation as to how all members of this body can take this training. And furthermore, when the time deemed appropriate, on this body and this floor or in writing, I'd like an apology from the administration that it would take 8 months for this clarification to be overseen and corrected. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Legislator Haney.
Quick question, Mr. President. Through you, about 6 weeks ago, I submitted an admittedly fairly lengthy letter requesting information and copies of documentation about Upstate Telecommunications, Inc. I've not had a response to that letter, and I was wondering if I could have some indication of when I might get a response to that letter.
Mr. President, although I was not at the Ways and Means Committee meeting, I know Mr. Finnerty did respond to a similar question and did indicate at that time that we are still several weeks away from complying or responding to that request, so we are still working on it and are well aware of the request.
Is there any other discussion at this time?
Do you have any idea when I might get a response?
Mr. President, although I can't give an exact date, as I had mentioned, I think at our previous legislature meeting, there, as everyone understands, there's a substantial amount of information being requested. I would just say several more weeks.
Several more weeks.
Is there anything else at this time? Legislator Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. President. On a lighter note, I see the highway guy over there, Mr. Rice, hiding in the corner. But I want to thank him on behalf of our neighborhood on Dorsey Road and the construction firm for completing the road improvement on our street. It turned out very nicely, and everybody's quite happy about it, and you're to be commended as well as the construction firm. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, Dr. Quattro.
Mr. President, I move this honorable body stand adjourned until Tuesday, December 13th, 2011 at 6 p.m.
Thank you.